been on that long.
Still trying to
The
get
lights
caught
warm it
up,
up
but-
very
Oh, I bet.
fast.
Okay.
And it's 69 in here right now. An hour from now, it'll be in the 70s.
That's probably true. And our body heat too.
Yeah. We have a picture.
Nice.
Good.
Okay.
Thank
All
you, Mark.
right. Do we need the red light or not?
Yes, we do need the red light. Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
All right, calling to order the December 16th, 2025 meeting of the Long Lake City Council. Good evening. Council member Dybek will be joining us about 10 minutes late this evening. So let's move on to otherwise all council members are present. Let's move on to item number 2, which is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, item 3 is mayor comments, Long Lake news, meeting reviews, and updates. And so everyone knows we did not just have a city council work session. Sometimes we have a work session beforehand, but there was no items to have on to discuss tonight as part of that. So we're just getting started with our council meeting here. Otherwise, some events that have occurred since we last met. On Friday, December 5th, we had a really great holiday tree lighting event at Holbrook Park. Good turnout. Weather was perfect this year. We had fresh snow on the ground and the tree lit up and everything. So we had a really good showing from some supporters, and I want to thank the Long Lake Park Board for their planning of the event and actually hosting the event. Long Lake Area Chamber of Commerce for some donation, Gopher Race Hardware, Otten Brothers Garden Center Landscaping, Orno Lions Club, Bjornstead Planning and Development, and we even had a DJ there's new this year. DJ Chime was playing some festive holiday music, so that was great. We had a guest appearance from Mr. and Mrs. Claus all the way from the North Pole. That was a hit, especially with the kids. And then we had some really good craft vendors this year. We had Kindred Bees Bakery and Hats by Abby as well. So really a fun event, different than years past. We're mixing it up a bit, adding some new components to it. So really thank you to staff and our Public Works Director as well for getting the park ready for that. And then the following day, we had the Long Lake Fire Department Auxiliary Food and Toy Drive at Station 1. That was another great event. A lot of nurses there that were assisting with the event from a local nursing program. Santa was there as well, and they collected food and toys as part of the food drive. So the Long Lake Fire Department Auxiliary put that event on, and we appreciate their efforts in that. Otherwise, as far as just I've had a few meetings since the last meeting, but I guess one I'll just mention is Northwest Hennepin League of Municipalities meeting last week. That was we hosted all 5 of our legislators that represent the cities that are part of that association. So our own Representative Andrew Myers and Senator Ann Johnson Stewart were there, and we just got kind of a preview of what's going to be happening in the legislative session this year. And, it sounds like it's still a kind of a 50-50 split amongst Democrats and Republicans, so they're not really expecting a whole lot of progress, unfortunately, but hope that they all were optimistic maybe that wouldn't be the case. Talked about the bonding bill that we've always been a part of in recent years, and there's, a renewed hope with that as there always seems to be. Otherwise, just we expect that that issue with planning and zoning and maybe having that controlled more at the state level than at the local level is going to be back, and there's a hope that there'll be more input from cities this time around. So a good event there. Otherwise, that's all the major things that have occurred since last time we met. All right, so with that, we'll move on to item number 4, which is to approve this evening's agenda.
So do we want to add that 5G onto the consent?
Thank you,
That would be
Councilmember
great.
Feldman. That would be under the consent agenda. That will be,
You can address it either location.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of 5G into the consent agenda.
All right. Thank you. So we'll start with item 4 there. Motion to approve this evening's agenda. I'll second that. And any further discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item 5, consent agenda. So items A through G now on the consent agenda. That was added by Councilmember Feldman, and G being a resolution adopting the Minnesota Paid Family and Medical Leave policies.
Can I pull that, just because I wouldn't mind hearing a little bit about it? Because it's 50% that the city has opted to pay, and have we discussed that before?
Yes.
Okay.
But we can absolutely discuss it.
And then with the other 50% to be paid by the employees?
Correct.
Okay. And, okay,
0.44% and 0.44%.
But we can pull that.
The premium is, the new tax is 0.88% of wages.
okay.
And the new law allows for cities to split that with personnel contributions, I believe.
And, because I know this issue came up at the LMCC, and we handled it a little differently, a little bit more favorable to the employees.
So the employers covered more,
More,
is what you're
right.
saying?
Yeah.
That was an option that we could have done. The employers could not have covered less.
Okay.
I think for the city of Long Lake, we will actually be getting a benefit in 2027 because we should be qualified as a small employer because there is a look-back period. At that time, we will have much less employees, given that the fire department will be moving over to Shoreline. And so at that time, the city of Long Lake's portion will go down quite a bit. And I think if we were going to be looking at doing any allocations, that would be a good opportunity.
Okay.
This year with the 0.44, when we looked at what it comes down to in dollars, it's not going to have a massive impact. And when I was in a few of the training sessions, most businesses will be doing the 50-50 split.
Okay.
Yep. As of right now, that's pretty common amongst.
Is
And
it safe
fire.
to say that's nearly offset by the 3%, because we have the 3% COLA that kicks in 2026?
Yeah, yes and no, because it's 0.44% of your
Right,
wages versus
exactly.
3%. So, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
okay.
it's,
Just it was sort of, I think probably because of the, would you say that sliding scale, LMCC is a very small employer, and it was a very nominal amount that,
If the LMCC did qualify, if they were reporting appropriately the last year and a half, and they would have received a letter then in October that their portion as an employer would have actually been, I believe, 0.22%. And so they may have opted to cover more because they would have qualified as a small employer for 2026.
oh, okay.
And so that might have been
Yeah, because it was a huge
incentive.
it was just a nominal number, and it's like, oh, okay.
Correct. Yes, I do believe that for us, when we look forward, we would qualify for that in 2027.
Okay.
Given that there are no major changes within the law, what you're seeing before you is our attorney advised us that we should probably have a policy on record effective for January 1st. That's why this was added last minute.
Okay.
I wasn't even thinking about having an official policy. This has been budgeted, and we are prepared for it for the new
Okay.
tax starting in January. But John did advise us that it would be appropriate to have a policy in effect, and the policy is nothing, it's nothing unique. It
It's
follows.
what we discussed in the
It
past.
was, yep, it was rediscussed. We're using the state's insurance policy, and we're using their recommended split, and then the rate was determined by the state of Minnesota.
Okay, now I understand.
Yep, no problem.
All right, and yeah, it's just a typo, but just for historical purposes, it's 2026 listed as the date of today's meetings.
Oh.
Somebody was
Apologies,
excited about the new year.
I was setting up 2026 meeting files today. That is completely on me.
She actually helped me, she helped me prepare this because I was in another meeting and we had John called us both when we were doing something else.
Last minute,
so.
yeah, it's kind of
It was
last minute,
very
so thank
last
you
minute, yes.
for getting the process so quickly. All right, any other questions? And then I see, item F is approve layoff of all City of Long Lake Fire Department personnel effective December 31st to facilitate transition to the service of the Shoreline Fire Department beginning in January 1st, 2026. And that's obviously just more of a formality type thing, and I believe the City of Orono did something similar at their last meeting, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. I did, I took an opportunity to attend one of the fire training nights so that I could explain in person that this was going to be happening prior to their letters being mailed to them, so there was no confusion or
Panic.
concerns. Yes, yes. But the letters have been sent, and so this is just a motion for council to formally approve the layoff of all of our longtime firefighters.
Thank you for doing
Yeah.
it in person. That's a good idea.
Yeah, yes, it worked. It was very well received.
And the
And so-
board, we did, I know we had to get them on the payroll January 1. Is that en route then? Because the board approved, the fire board approved all the
Yep.
the positions. John.
Correct. The fire board did approve the hiring of the list that was provided to them by the chief, and so they are ready for the January 1st
Okay.
start date.
For the payroll
all
to go
working.
through, January 15th, is it bi-monthly?
No, they will be paid every 2 weeks. Orono, as their fiscal agent, will be doing payroll. I believe their first payroll is already January 8th. So we are working very diligently to get everyone set up so we can be ready for their first payroll on January 8th.
Wow, you guys have done a lot.
Have we hired new employees already, or?
For the new fire department? Yeah, so that was the last board meeting. The chief recommended, and then the board approved, and now it's in the pipeline to get them the offers by January 1, to get them paid by January 8th.
Correct.
Is that right? Okay.
Correct. And just for a little clarity, we are treating this more of a merger, and so we had every firefighter that was interested sign a release of, so that their payroll and their employee files could be appropriately transferred to Shoreline. So there was not the necessity to redo background checks or any evals. Everything was able to be transferred as long as the employee had signed that release form. So it was a pretty smooth transition.
So did you have 100% cooperation on that, or?
I have 3 that have not signed at this point. I did reach out to them today to see if their intention is to join the Shoreline Fire Department, and just remind them that the Long Lake Fire Department would be inactive as of end of day, December 31st. So
Wow, it's coming up.
it is.
It is, yeah. All right, any other questions for staff on the items on the consent agenda? All right.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Do you
Oh,
wanna-
second,
Do you want to add the G to that, or we talk about it enough? You want to move
with A through G.
You want it, G, okay.
Yeah, you do it. I'm jumping in because I interrupted.
Okay. Nobody's made a motion to approve the consent agenda, correct?
I
Oh,
don't,
you did.
I did? I'll make it. A motion to approve the consent agenda, A through F, unless you want G.
No, G.
You want G, okay. Add G to it. What's G? G is this one. Yeah, it's the,
I'll second that.
all right, G's been added.
set of
I
records,
mentioned it.
complex consent agenda ever.
Yes, I like the enthusiasm. This is great. All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, item 6, open correspondence. Any submitted open correspondence this evening?
Nothing, thank you.
All right. So on to regular business then. 7A, resolution nominating Janet Schaefer to the Minnehaha Creek Watershed District Board of Managers. It's going to be Amanda?
Mayor,
Oh, okay.
I'll actually tackle this one. I know I was in receipt of the emails. Former mayor and longtime Long Lake resident Janet Schaefer had reached out to me a couple weeks ago to mention that she would be pursuing a nomination for appointment to the Minnehaha Creek Watershed District Board. If you weren't aware, she's been a member of the MCWD Citizen Advisory Committee. She's also, an active member of our local Waters Association. There are 2 incumbent MCWD board members that are seeking reappointment to their positions, but she just really has an active interest in putting her name into the pool for, to potentially serve on the board. And as part of the process, there's actually a watershed appointment law outlined in statute that requires that the city consider adoption of a resolution to nominate their candidacy to the board. So James Whisker, let's see, what is his title?
The executive director?
He's
or
executive
something?
director or district supervisor or something of that nature. He was kind enough to send along a model resolution for us to work with, which we have prepared. I think we've all had experience with Ms. Schaefer, her experience in our local government, her professionalism over the years, her active involvement and commitment to water quality issues as well as to our community. I think, we really have lots of reasons to support her intent to apply for consideration to the board. It'd be lovely to have someone from Long Lake advocating a little bit for us in working with that board, so.
Agreed.
All right. I'll make it. Motion to adopt resolution number 2025-44, nominating Janet Schaefer to the Minnehaha Creek Watershed District Board of Managers.
I'll second that.
Nice, motion and a second, and yeah, I spoke to Janet a couple weeks ago and definitely support her, and this is active in the Water Association and knows a lot about our city and the water quality issues, so fabulous. All right, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries unanimously. Okay, moving on to item 7B, adoption of 2026 city fee schedule. It's gonna be Jeanette again?
Yes, sir, thank you. This is one of those items that really could be on a consent agenda every year, but given that it's adoption of an ordinance, we really do prefer a separate motion. Every year, at the end of the year, we are spending a little time reviewing all the fees for goods and services and, permitting provided by city and cities, or by the city and by city staff. And we compare that with our neighboring cities, see if there's anywhere where adjustments might be warranted. We also update this fee schedule to be inclusive of the utility rates that were adopted back in November. So that action is usually done before we get to this point. Sorry, I think I heard the live stream behind me. After we reviewed this year, we have only minor adjustments to the schedule recommended. One pretty much goes without saying that we do need to remove some of the fire department fees that were in the schedule, specifically your false alarms and incident billing fees. We used to have a whole schedule of those, but we will not have a Long Lake Fire Department for 2026. So we've removed those from the schedule.
Well, can I just ask about that, because is there a plan with Shoreline? Because I know like even Orono, they under, Long Lake Fire Covering Orono, my understanding was handled when there's a false alarm, they build, the residents and under their fee schedule for that. So if we're not doing it, like who will be doing it then if there are repeated false fire alarms, do we know?
I'm assuming they would be Shoreline Fire Department.
I believe
So
we
you
don't
don't-
have the authority to do that.
Yeah.
I know for a long time, Long Lake was not billing. We had the option to bill, but for many, many years, our chiefs did not feel that.
Probably doesn't come up that
it
often, I
didn't
think,
come
in
up
our
that often,
city,
and so
yeah.
we have not been utilizing that, so I don't think it's gonna be a major issue, and it's something I think if it becomes an issue, they could easily address with the board.
So I guess you might have just said it there and I didn't hear. So does the fire department have that authority, or do they need the cities to exercise that authority on their behalf?
I'd be surprised if they have the
They
authority
may
to
not have
do it, because they can't create ordinances. Or you guys can't create ordinances, I guess I'm talking to you two and the other two members, but I don't know if that's possible. I thought it has to be done through the city level
I
if
think
necessary.
that would be something we'd probably need to check with our attorney on and, just kind of discuss authority of the board. That's not something necessarily that would be like ordinance adoption as much as it might be policy and invoicing. I guess I'm really not certain there without consulting with our attorneys.
So
But we can do that.
So tonight, does it make any, should we do what we're doing here as is?
Yes.
And then if
Be
the
a
attorney says
change
to do
later.
something, we add and.
We can always add it back in, and we
Okay.
probably will be making tweaks throughout the year anyway.
Okay.
So we
So-
have false alarms for the police. How does that, is
That
that?
remains in, yep.
But how, do we have a charge for that? And how does that all work?
I
Does-
do. I track that on a monthly basis. We receive a report from the Wayzata PD,
Okay,
and we, according to the fee schedule, I believe
Yes.
it's the first three are included.
Because the police
It's
would be
exact-
almost analogous to the
Exact
fire.
same deal, yep.
It's mostly entry
So
alarms.
I receive a report, and so I'm actually wondering if we could, if we decide to do any changes, we would probably just remove the word police on that, and then the fire department would send me reports of repeat issues. Like I said, right now, there was a lot of question as far as what constitute as a false alarm when you're dealing with fire. Police is, a lot of times you have, it's a little bit easier because they're the door alarms and so forth. I know that with the prior chief, we would talk about it, and he felt like he didn't want to ever deter anybody from contacting the fire department if they had even an inkling that there was an issue. And so he really did not like billing for false alarms, but I think the Shoreline Fire Department will have to make that decision.
Okay.
Once they're.
So, quick question. So, they sent us a report.
Yes.
Is this income that we keep, or is this do we pass some of it along to the, Wayzata PD?
We keep that.
Okay.
We keep that. It's not very often that you're going to have someone that has more than 3 false alarms within a year. It's only happened a handful of times, but it is something that it allows us to reach out to businesses and let them know that we've been having repeat issues, and to have their alarms looked at so that we're not misusing resources.
Because then our fee might go up.
Correct.
Yes.
To be very diligent about it, but thankfully we haven't had any major issues, so.
Okay, that's why.
Yeah, and so you're going to follow up with the attorney, and then
We can do that, yep. I'll
I'm
make
going
a
to
note.
actually meet Orno tomorrow, so I'll see if. what
I'm
they do.
actually gonna mention, that it might be something that we wanna wait a little longer on, because one thing that we'll be talking about as a board, and I think we've already started talking about a little bit, the fire department will have its own attorney soon.
All right, so that'd be
And it
good.
might be a good opportunity for whoever's gonna be in that role to help make that decision.
Yep, yep,
Okay,
that makes sense.
and hold off on that.
Hold
then.
off on it until
Makes
an
sense.
attorney is,
Okay.
Named in position.
yes.
Boy,
Yes.
though, couldn't the Shoreline Fire Department get revenue to pay the attorney by?
Oh,
Offset.
right. Thinking fish fry might be better. All
There you go.
right, sorry, Jeanette, so I interrupted you, so back to our right-of-way permit fee, I think it's next.
Yeah, just a couple quick adjustments here. Right-of-way permit fees, these are really about 100% issued to utility companies for work in public right-of-way, particularly underground, on over any municipal right-of-way or under it. Our fee hasn't been updated in quite a while, so current right-of-way permit fee is $75. Did a little research. Local area cities are charging anywhere between $50 and $250 for these permits. We do recognize, of course, that Public Works has a manual component that comes into play with these permits and that they have to do locates. So I'm recommending an increase in that permit fee to $100 per permit. Also, one other minor adjustment here, the tobacco products license fee. Recommending an increase in that from 150 to 175. That's the first increase for us since 2007 in that fee. And also, again, based on a review of fees charged by neighboring cities, so.
All right, so that's it then. Those the
I just had a quick
changes.
question, because I kind of I just looked through it a little bit, and so when you kind of charge plumbing permits and building permits, if you build a building, do you have to pay all those, if you build a house, you pay all 3 separately? The structure, the plumbing?
There are different contractors that are doing the work. So yes, the builder pulls the building permit based on the building valuation. The plumbing permit, the HVAC permit, that's based on the value of that component of the work. So for example, a $200,000 house, the plumber isn't gonna be pulling a permit based on the project valuation of a $200,000 house. It's just gonna be for the $12,000 in fixture installations they're doing. So,
I
and
just
we
never
also
knew that. I just kind of, it was like, oh, wow.
Yes, yeah, and so, also once, like, for example, a residential building permit, residential work, once the building permit's been approved, the plan review charge goes with the building permit. The subs, the HVAC and the plumbing, they're not getting plan reviews every time. It's just a fixture charge, so,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, anyone want to make a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2025-02, adopting the 2026 fee schedule for the city of Long Lake, and to direct staff to publish a summary ordinance.
Second.
All right, thank you. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right, thanks, Jeanette.
I do want to just mention in closing that the adoption of this fee schedule tonight doesn't prohibit us in any way from continuing to review it. And we do that on a regular basis and, maybe making some changes in 2026. We'll see how we go, but we have to have this in place by January 1. So thank you very much for approving that this evening.
Yeah, thanks for your work on that. Okay, item 7C is adoption of final payable 2026 levy, city budget, capital improvement plan, and pay plan resolutions. Amanda, city administrator.
Thank you. So tonight before you, we have 4 resolutions and the 2026 fund transfers for your approval. I wanted to make note that the fund transfers will be in 2026. I didn't add that to my report. I noticed that as I was reviewing it this evening. So all of this has been previously discussed with council, but I wanted to point out a few areas for a reminder. So the first motion here is going to be for the tax levy. If you recall, we have approved a tax levy, a tax rate of 34.031%. This is going to be a rate change of 0.564%. We are also going to be approving tonight the 2026 city budget. There are a few factors that I did list that I felt had a pretty large contribution to the budget that we had, and that was going to be for our police and fire contracts. Overall, there was an increase for the 2 of them of $103,000. Obviously, most of that was for the establishment of the Shoreline Fire Department. Employee wages is another area in budget that we could see some changes throughout 2026 as we're staffing in different areas. So and there are some staffing restructuring that will be going on. And then engineering costs. We've also added engineering costs to various areas as we start to prepare for future projects and possible bonding in years to come. As I'd mentioned at one of our prior meetings, the utility funds, the largest increase we're going to see in that is the pass-through of the Metropolitan Council fee, and that was an increase of $7.98 per connection. So that is going to be the largest impacts in your 2026 city budget. Also for approval tonight is going to be the capital improvement plan. This is something that is included in your packet, but we will be adjusting as the years go on. This is just our starting point based on information that I've received from the council the last few years. And then motion number 4 is our 2026 pay plan. As you will see tonight, we have actually updated that last minute. And so there is an updated 2026 pay plan that has been provided to you. The 2 areas that have been updated are going to be the maintenance worker laborer 1 and the maintenance worker laborer 2. We found a need to update both of these items based on feedback that we had been receiving from interviews that we had been conducting for our Public Works Department. After Jeanette and I looked at it a little bit closer and compared to surrounding areas, we felt like an increase was necessary for both the laborer 1 and the laborer 2. You will see in your pay plan the percentage increase over 2025. The last item for approval tonight will be fund transfers. And I have included a outline of those, but I've also listed them out separately on the second page of the report so that you can see it clearly. The section will be transferred out of 101 into individual capital funds. And the second set there will be transferred from our existing capital fund into the capital funds based on my capital improvement projections. Does council have any questions for me about anything that
This
I've
is the
talked
updated pay plan?
about? Correct.
And why was the maintenance worker lead line taken out?
I've taken that out because as Jeanette and I were talking a little bit, right now, the maintenance worker lead was established as someone that would oversee the employees. It would be more of an assistant to Sean. However, right now, if we are able to hire and maintain both a maintenance worker 1 and a maintenance worker 2, the need for a lead is not necessary at this time and might be something we revisit in the future.
And so how are we looking on maintenance worker hires?
That will be dramatically helped by this evening's conversation.
But
So,
if we
I
approve
have
it-
2 very strong candidates. Do you mind if I jump in on this
Please,
part?
yep, I was gonna be working on their offer letter, so you can.
Yes, we have a very strong candidate for worker 1 and a very well-experienced candidate for worker 2, who has their water and sewer licensures and CDL on board and years of experience. That individual has a background in cities like Hopkins and Plymouth, for example. And what we're finding, it's fun, I had some conversations with other cities actually today, and I think what we're finding is, because that's the applicant pool we all, as smaller cities, need to draw from, we're in a situation where unless we adjust our wage rates, we simply cannot compete and attract them. But we need them. We need qualified staff to maintain the infrastructure in our city, and our parks and our streets. We need them. So
Why is this person moving? I'm just curious.
I think they're looking for an opportunity for advancement. And this could be that. Sean has already made noise about, 5 years from now, who knows, he might retire. And that creates an opportunity for someone who's been working their way up. We had a very positive both first and second interviews with both these candidates for worker 1 and worker 2. Administrator Noeski and I participated in the first round. Sean interviewed them in the second round, including a tour of the city. And both indicated some enthusiasm, but indicated that they would be taking quite a cut to come here. And so we started to brainstorm solutions, including the potential, maybe what we get is 3 strong public works employees. And when we start looking in the future at our administrative support staff person, perhaps that person is helping both with public works administrative work and city hall administrative work.
So, 2 questions. Is this salary something that he or she would take a big pay cut, or is this commensurate to what they would expect as a salary? In other words, are we still too low, or?
This new pay plan both puts them in range for potential acceptance of offer letters and an opportunity to,
We may not start them out at step 1,
right.
but we want to make sure that this pay plan is not geared to this individual person, but
Exactly.
to future hires as well.
What is right for us?
One thing that we are noticing in our city and actually in our neighboring cities too is the laborers are now in high demand. And so it's getting a lot more expensive to try to hire laborers. And so we put out with the first pay plan that we had originally proposed, the applications that we were receiving weren't going to fit our needs as a city, especially a small city where we need each and every one of our employees to be absolutely independent and have a variety of skills and tasks. So this was our proposal.
It also is intended to, in my opinion anyway, serve as some level of assurance on the quality of the candidates that we receive, where we're looking to try to attract some folks with experience experience with power tools, experience with operating a snowplow, a little more experience. And to draw from experience, you need to be able to, unfortunately, also pay for it. And so I think this, in part, was our brainstorming attempt to try to solve that.
So you went from, from this pay plan to this one, and, because it's not a big difference.
It's,
No, it isn't,
that-
but it
that's
makes
really-
all the difference.
Okay.
and that's why we were able, so I was, both Jeanette and Sean asked, are we gonna have a problem with the budget? And because I felt like this small change was gonna fulfill our need for qualified candidates, but yet still fit in our
I'd say it's
budget.
really important to get good,
Right.
qualified public works employees.
We
and-
agree.
That is what we are trying to achieve. This
We
will
have-
do it.
As a city, we are not able to be a training city or to have inexperienced workers. We thought that we could kind of hire and then train within, but our city is very demanding for anything that can come up. Our Public Works Department is expected to deal with parks, streets, utilities, and so forth, and we need to make sure that we have staff that is able to do it,
100%.
so.
Particularly if
So
something
if we
happens-
got these two, then do we have others right now? That, or is it, would this be it with Sean?
We have one other employee that's currently employed with the Public Works. He is a maintenance worker one, step two.
Okay. And then, so then the three would be what we would stay with, or including, and plus Sean?
Yes, yes, that would give Sean time to train the two, if they both accept their letters. It would
Yep.
give Sean time to train them and to get them
And then when
acclimated.
you were talking about if we had an admin here that could then also work Public Works,
We had some brainstorming. I think we were trying to brainstorm solutions today.
okay.
And some of the brainstorming was maybe while we were initially envisioning maybe more of like a part-time to 30-hour-a-week employee, if we make that a full-time position, maybe that person could be assisting with, making sure Public Works, Sean has to be out in the field. We need someone to check the emails and make sure we're not missing anything. And,
Responding to phone calls.
responding to
checking
phone calls,
messages.
exactly. Those would be great duties for that person to help with. And so that is part of the, over the next few months, phase-in plan. If we just are really hopeful that we might be able to extend some offer letters and potentially put some hires, we hope, on the January 6th council agenda. In the meantime, though, what this revision to the pay plan does, after I spoke with a couple others, is it really does put us competitive. And that is something that we weren't. It's amazing what a small change can do.
And if something happened to Sean, I think we'd be in a little bit of trouble, even short-term.
Exactly. We need to be able to attract staff, and I hope that this will help.
So, quick question. I know we're looking at department administration full-time and admin salaries. It went down from what we budgeted in 2025. But is that enough, does that does that include somebody, pay for somebody if we hire an admin?
The admin cost would be split between city administration, which is, that's ours.
E1
Yep,
mile.
and that it should cover a lot of it, especially because we won't have somebody hired right away. It will take us a little bit of time to get them in. And then the Public Works budget items, and I will be having to watch these throughout the year, but if you recall, those are gonna be divided between the enterprise funds, for just water, sewer, and storm, and then the general fund. So their budgets are divided amongst 4 different accounts, and so it's a little bit easier to track.
And so that would, if you got somebody, I mean, it seems like the difference, 43K, and I don't know what the other ones were, they could stuff envelopes if we wanted to send out.
We, once it got mentioned today, the ideas are already, we're very excited. I think one thing that's very important to us as city staff is that residents are being responded to timely, and that even if they have a concern, that we are addressing them right away. at least giving them a phone call back to let them know that we're looking into it. And I think that having someone here to check those voicemails, to check emails, and then to not only inform but follow up on different things will be invaluable. I think that that will be really beneficial to our residents.
And we budgeted somewhat for it anyway, so.
Correct. We were already planning on hiring some assistance for
To replace
City
your,
Hall. Yes, for both permitting, elections and so forth. And so I think it will just make my job a little bit more exciting this year.
all right. Did we stop you, Amanda? Or were you
No,
done?
that's
You're done?
all I have. Like
Okay.
I mentioned, all of this we have discussed in great lengths in prior meetings. So there may be things that, if you need a refresher, I'm happy to mention. I did include in the packet, summary pages of each item that you will be approving tonight, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
All right, more questions for Amanda.
Yeah, I have one, you know, in your summary, you show the proposed final is 4% increase, 1.815 million, but in here, on the property tax revenue line, it shows different amount for the 2026 budget, and this is 4.3%.
Because the debt services, which are listed underneath, bond 2016A and 2017A, are not included in general fund revenue. Those actually go into another fund. And so what should happen is the property tax revenue plus the debt service revenue should equal our levy amount
For the resolution.
for the resolution.
So levy operations is the 1
And
million.
then, and the fiscal disparities, I apologize. So it's property, fiscal disparities, and debt services. Those three numbers should equal the 1815481.
So we know that it's always going, fiscal disparities is going to be 60K? Or did we have that? 'Cause it was that.
It's pretty close to that, correct?
Where's the fiscal disparity?
It's gonna be in the, property tax revenue, it's right underneath it, it's at 60,000. I split that out because I'd like to track how much we get individually year to year. And so 2 years ago, I started splitting that out and adding it as its own budget line item, so I could see how much of our commercial taxes are coming back to us as fiscal disparities.
Yep, it's exactly 1.815481.
And if you recall those,
Surprise, the math works.
I wasn't 100% sure, but
You were like,
It sounded like you wanted me to check. So.
I was trying to do the math quick in my head and
All right, other questions?
Oh, okay, I had a comment, but.
A comment?
go ahead.
No, I'm just really pleased that, you know, from the preliminary of 9.4%, we were able to achieve a final, if we pass it, of 4%. And when I looked at the page of property tax increases for all Hennepin County cities that came with our property tax statement, that would be the second lowest of all the Hennepin County cities. Now, maybe some others have also come in less than what, those are the preliminary amounts. And so I think that would be a really impressive accomplishment if you can make this budget work for an increase that is the second lowest among, I don't know how many Hennepin County cities there are, it's like 40 or something like that.
40-some.
Yeah, so that's a significant accomplishment, and that's a credit to you, Amanda, and Jeanette for helping with getting that number, that increase so significantly lower. In fact, it's about $95,000 less than what we had for the preliminary number, so that's a big benefit. Because I have been, hearing from people, oh man, my property taxes just keep going up and up and up. And I said, well, this year, we're working to not make it such a big increase, especially one of the lowest, in Hennepin County.
In addition, I mean, it happens in a year that we started a fire department.
Right, yes.
That's
right.
kind of
And
amazing.
to CIP, that's actually my favorite
CIP.
part.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's efficiencies that are being found that I appreciate.
and I really appreciate the presentation too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Especially that all my numbers balanced, which
So they passed the test. We thought we had you, but I guess, I guess not, right?
I do ask when you make a motion, just for audit purposes, when you're doing the motion for number 5, if you could add 2026 in there, I feel like that is a little clearer so that the audit knows that those were approved for 2026 and not to 2025. So if we could just add that those are
Oh,
to be transferred in 2026.
All right. In 2026, okay. All right, we need to do these individual motions.
Unfortunately, yes.
Probably ask that every year. I should get that
I
question
know.
every year.
Next year.
All right, I'll make a motion, let's kick it off then, to adopt resolution number 2025-48, establishing the final tax levy collectible in 2026.
Second.
Thank you, motion and a second, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Make motion to adopt resolution number 2025-49, establishing the final 2026 total city budget.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Motion 3, I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-50, establishing the 2026 Capital Improvement Plan, or CIP.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Motion number 4, motion to adopt resolution number 2025-51, establishing the 2026 pay plan.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And the final motion, number 5, motion to approve general fund transfers as presented in 2026.
I'll second. Well, you guys are gonna try to take that second.
I won't have to do any in 2026 or I'm getting so far ahead of this deal. All right, motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion,
Oh.
motion carries unanimously.
I have a question.
Oh, it's too late.
Well, it doesn't affect anything, but combining the police and fire fees into one fund, I mean, we'll still track them separately.
They have separate line items. We actually added, a few years ago when we were starting to track legal fees for the fire department.
Yeah.
We changed that fund from police to, I believe it says public safety, or it might say police and fire. I'd have to look what the official fund name is. So we did change the name at that time. And so I thought it'd be a good opportunity now to just continue to add line items for the fire department, but then we can track, public safety all in one area as
Right,
one department.
as a roll-up, but then also we can track them
Yep.
individually.
They're completely separate line items with separate budget items.
All right.
good job, Amanda.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good
Great job in your first city budget. That's awesome.
And like Deirdre said, it was laid out very well, very organized and clear.
Yes. All right. So with that, we move on to 8, other business. Come on, Councilmember Newcomer.
No, attended the Christmas tree lighting. Bought the bread from what is it? I can't remember. Anyway.
Kindred Bees
Yeah.
Bakery.
That's
And then I
really
went back
good.
again 2 days ago and bought more bread for your house. So
Wow.
It is good.
That was big fans in our house
Where
too.
is that?
silly good. It's out of her house, actually. Loretto.
Corcoran or Loretto?
Loretto, yeah, kind of out there. Well worth the drive.
I love,
Yeah.
Did you
Fresh baked
call
bread.
ahead kind of thing, or did
Yeah,
you?
they're all set up. Yeah, I mean,
John,
it's,
if you're interested, I'll forward you the contact info.
Yeah.
Can you,
It's,
I did,
I can, yes.
I think I have it.
yeah,
Yeah.
jalapeno sourdough bread with tortilla soup.
Yeah.
And you
perfect.
look at the ingredients,
I know.
it's like 4.
No, and that's where she was really adamant. She's like, if you don't eat it right away, just freeze it. And I'm like, no,
It's already gone.
I'm not going to see the freezer. So, yeah.
Mine
Anyway,
disappeared with a pot of white chicken chili.
yeah, perfect. Yeah. So
That's
anyway,
good.
that was my highlight of the week.
It's a good highlight. All right. Councilmember Feldman.
Nothing. Thank you.
All right. Councilmember Dimick.
Did you already share that we had a fire board meeting last week?
We talked a little bit about it,
Okay.
and basically that the layoffs from the consent
Yeah.
were kind of an administrative thing, because the moment that they get laid off, they are then offered a position in the new fire department.
And we're going to be reviewing deputy chief.
Yeah, oh, yeah, so I think they're, because I think they've done all the phone interviews, and I think in January they'll
Right.
do the in-person interviews.
Yep.
Great.
Sounded like we had good candidates for that position, so. The thing I was gonna mention was, I missed the holiday lights on our street lamps, and I was wondering, what's gonna happen.
I can respond to that. I was notified today that there was a miscommunication and that the vendor that normally does the garland on the street poles was not able to do Long Lake this year. And that communication was missed, and so I'm not really sure what's going to happen about that, because they actually have all of our garland.
Yeah, and it's our lights that they store, right?
Correct.
So we pay for that.
Correct, and they are out of town this season.
They're out of town?
Yes, that is the message that was
So
relayed to me.
Do we get a refund or what?
Well, we don't, we
Buy them
pay
pay?
them once.
Oh,
the-
we pay them to put them up,
Correct,
but
but
Do we pay for
there
the
would be nothing to
storage?
refund.
isn't the storage kind of wrapped up
We
in that?
don't pay for any of that, yeah, so
Well, yeah.
we haven't paid for anything to be refunded. It's gonna be a really big inconvenience. Like I said, they had notified us, that notification was missed. And so we will, I
Yeah.
don't know what the answer is going to be now.
And we also had the holiday banners, but are they getting worn?
I was told by Sean that the holiday banners will be up tomorrow,
Okay.
going up tomorrow.
I know that he's probably got a lot on his plate, but just wondering. And actually, those are getting a little tired and worn probably, so we should, we've talked about having new summer banners, and we should probably get new winter ones as well.
Correct. I thought that we had a lead on that, and when I was checking, because I check on a regular basis which properties in Long Lake are going to be selling, his business looks like it's for sale, and so I'm not really sure if that lead is still going to be.
We have those made locally,
Seasonal
right?
banners, not so much. Only the spring and summer banners, but the holiday banners, those are actually.
Those are still pretty good?
They're sold by just about everybody
Oh,
in the
oh.
display sales, and there's a number of designs, and you just plug in your name.
Right.
That is what we
That's
did.
what we did with those, yeah.
Yes.
Those weren't custom
Okay.
or
No.
anything.
So
But
those
wasn't
would be an
was
easier
it a
order.
wasn't it a local business that we got those from, or not?
Not those ones, no,
Oh.
no. Those, I believe, they might have been from display sales, I can't remember. We get so many mailings from those companies all the time, so we always have options to look at for the standard holiday banners.
Okay. And were those the ones that were a little bit short, or was it summer ones that, I thought that there was ones that weren't sized
There
exactly
was, I
right.
can't remember
remember
which
which
of the
ones they
So we
two.
just need to make sure we get, Sean probably
Yeah.
can tell you, like,
Yes,
some are more difficult to get on than others.
yes.
Well, it sounds like if we are able to hire a maintenance worker, then some of this can get straightened out.
Moving forward, yes.
So-
I might have a few challenges to get through and do our best this
This
season.
season.
Be patient
Um,
with us. This will also be, we're utilizing the administrative assistant for Public Works.
This would be an example of
Specifically,
that.
this would be a good
This would
example.
be a great example, yes.
Yes, of putting them right away in charge of getting.
So
Had we known,
so-
we could have made sure we got our inventory back out of their storage.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Worked
then-
with another vendor to put it up.
We can't do that?
We're not sure.
They're out of town?
The vendor's not in.
That's what it sounds like, but more
We should get it back.
research to do.
We should get it back and kind of, I don't know if I'd hire that vendor again.
Well, they did store it for us, which was convenient, and actually having them install it, but I don't know how many installers there are. but-
There are so many, actually.
Are
There's
there? I
other
see there's a lot of
signs in town.
residential installers now.
Yeah, so,
But couldn't we install, Public Works has some space.
I will tell you that,
It's a big building.
we had old ones that I decided to take one strand of, and it almost didn't fit in my car. It was. it
Oh,
was-
Plus they would replace, when if bulbs went out or whatever, they would maintain them, didn't they, or replace them?
That's, at this point, I don't know exactly, what the communication error was, so I'm not going to say that it falls on the vendor. I don't know that at this point. I haven't seen that communication and where the disconnect was, and so I don't want to right away say that it was this is the vendor's fault. I don't know that.
But if you kind of have to always scramble and find a new vendor, because this one isn't away for the holidays.
And like I said, I haven't seen the email directly, and so I don't want to say
Okay.
for sure. Maybe there was an opportunity to do it soon. I don't know exactly what happened. So until I get to see the email directly,
Okay.
I don't want to make any vendor changes until
Okay.
we know what happened. So.
That was it for me.
All right, through the list here, I totally forgot to call it one other event that occurred in the last 2 weeks, and that was the Long Lake Area Chamber of Commerce holiday event, sponsored by Marty Schneider and the chamber. And it was their 75th anniversary, right? So it's kind of a big deal in Birches. So that was a great event I was able to participate in for a little bit anyways. So thanks to Marty for all the work putting that on and the others that participated. The Mountain Fire Department named their firefighter of the year yesterday. Any guesses? Maybe not, but former Long Lake firefighter / assistant chief Shane Gardner is the Mound. He quickly became a star at the Mountain Fire Department after leaving Long Lake, and he was named their firefighter of the year yesterday, the day before. So congratulations, Shane. I continue to work on the gate issue, the Highway 12, County 112 gate issue, and I think we've made an administrative decision to kind of move forward on that as our city to get the gate ordered, and we'll handle the billing, and we're gonna. It does appear there'll be some form of partnership with both MnDOT, Hennepin County, and then it's most likely the Wayzata Crime Prevention Coalition, which I'm a part of. They're most likely going to cover Long Lake's share of the contribution as well as Wayzata's share of the contribution, since the crime fund represents both cities. So that's very amazing, and not quite official yet, but it was discussed at last week's meeting, thanks to Chief Baker. And she brought this up, and it sounds promising, so that's in the works. And then, back to Long Lake Fire Department, this is kind of bittersweet as we end the chapter here with maybe about 14, 15 days to go with it being under the name Long Lake Fire Department. So I just want to thank all those that have served the city of Long Lake for the last 118 years or whatever it's been, 1915, I think. No, that's 110. Feldman, what is that? 110 years. Some bad math there. So end of an era there, but on to a new chapter with the Shoreline Fire Department. We're great that the vast majority of the firefighters are continuing to serve as Shoreline members of the Shoreline Fire Department, and wish them all the best as they go off into the new sort of venture as a jointly operated fire department with City of Orono. And I have noted the City of Minnetonka Beach has officially accepted the contract from Shoreline Fire Department last week or two, so that's fantastic as well.
We ought to have a celebration, for the Long Lake Fire Department and their 100-plus year existence, and invite, former Long Lake firefighters or something. I don't know, maybe something like that would be appropriate.
Yeah, kind of tie it, because I think there is talk of having something in the spring, when it warms up a bit with the Shoreline. Maybe there's a way to kind of tie both together, start of the out with the old and with the new kind of celebration.
Yeah, we can do that, yeah.
That'd be kind of
I
nice.
think next year's also the birthday of the antique fire truck that we have.
Oh,
The
The
Studebaker.
Studebaker. I think Chief is telling me.
like 100 years old, probably.
I believe it is.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to put that on record, Charlie, because I was going to double check my facts, but he was telling me next year it's birthday, because I was. And
That's probably about right.
so we can have a dual celebration.
Right. A little bottle of champagne
Yes.
over the hood or something. And try to
Careful.
You don't want to damage it.
Careful.
All right, so that's, the next chapter. We're next chapter in fire service for our communities. All right, so that is it for me.
After all that, nothing from me.
It's hard to follow.
I have a couple updates for council. I'd like to first start by thanking Jeanette and all the work she did for the tree lighting. I wasn't able to attend, I was on vacation, but I've heard wonderful things, and I've gotten to see the photos and the videos, and it was really special to see that. It was a good representation of our city and our community and what we're all about. I also wanted to let council know that on Monday, we had our 2025 preliminary audit. Things seem to go really, really well. We worked with Abdo, and I will continue working with them in the next couple months as we get the 2025 audit completed. And then for fire transition, that's also going extremely smoothly. I've been working with future Shoreline employees, Chief in Orono, and I think that the transition is going to go really well for all of our firefighters and the community. So I'm excited to see how this is coming together. But that is all I have.
I saw that a push-in ceremony last night, I believe, for the new utility vehicle at Station 1, and that big, I think it's the one that we purchased as Long Lake, so that was fun to see a picture of that on Facebook. Nice. All right, Jeanette.
Nothing except for this. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to everyone. To you, all of you, and all of your families. Just wishing you a wonderful time. And next year, I am voting that the second meeting in December, maybe we should do an ugly sweater.
Wow, there we go.
Food for thought.
I'm getting crazy. I like that.
Deirdre looked down when you said that. Was it that she wasn't?
What's a little holiday fun, right?
Great idea, great idea.
Maybe I'm already wearing one.
All right. And there's, last thing is, I've got word today that the plan is for Public Works to begin flooding the Holbrook Ice Rink on Thursday is the plan as of today. So if that hasn't changed, now it's cooling off again. Winter appears to be here. We're gonna look forward to having some ice there this year. All right, so we're looking at city offices closed December 24th through 26th, which I think is Wednesday through Friday. And then closed again, of course, holiday on Thursday, January 1st of the new year. And we'll meet again on Tuesday, January 6th, and possible work session. All right.
You reminded me, what's the warming house like at Holbrook Park? Was, with the pipes frozen?
Yes, the pipes had frozen.
Was there damage?
There will be damages that will need repair. Yes, the water is turned off to the building.
Okay.
We do have the heat restored, of course, because as soon as we found out that CenterPoint had turned off the gas to our property without notifying us, we rectified that the day before the tree lighting. But unfortunately, by the time we discovered that, pipes had frozen. There may be some fixture damage as well. So we'll be working through that process over a couple of months, I would imagine.
We're not submitting an insurance claim until I know the extent of the damage and what can be done by Public Works and what we think that those costs would be with just a deductible and such. I want to see what we're looking at.
I would
for
go after
cost.
CenterPoint.
I know, we have that conversation.
We've had that conversation. I mean, we can try. They're not I've worked with them in some other areas, and I can absolutely try to go after them. We'll see what they do, and maybe going through
Well, it could be the
insurance would
league,
help.
yeah, the insurance trust maybe would try to
Right.
track that down first too as an option,
And
yeah.
that might be a benefit of going through the insurance,
Right.
but I haven't done that.
Why did they turn it off? Like, was there a notification?
So the lea-
Yeah, what I discovered, Mandy, I am so happy for you that you were on vacation when this occurred, because this was not a fun day. When I reached out to CenterPoint, they said someone named Dana had called it in, and I was able to convince them to get someone to come out ASAP to get the heat back on, or to get the gas service restored. Of course, someone from Public Works had to be on site. There always has to be someone on site when they do that. And Sean, in talking to that tech who was restoring the service, He said that it appeared that it had actually been related to a smell coming from underground. So not actually the warming house, but a repair that was done in the vicinity elsewhere underground. But of course, by then it had already snowed, so, Sean went around trying to see if he could figure out where there had been any signs of digging, but there was too much snow on the ground to be able to figure that out. So it was a passerby who called it in.
So park user,
Some sort of a park user, yep.
I'm
And
just thinking,
it-
like, if I'm a snowbird, I'm in Florida, can somebody walk by my house and get the
I
heat turned
just-
off my house?
Yeah, that's what I don't understand about any of this.
The fact that there was no notification to the city is the problem.
Yeah.
That exactly, 100%, because had we been notified when that happened, apparently back in September. So, again, it wasn't until the day before the tree lighting ceremony on December 4th.
And there wouldn't have been anything unusual with the bills that would have
No.
been a red flag because with Centerpoint, there would have been no heat necessary, especially with the warming house. So there would have been no unusual, it's not unusual for there not to be any charges, activity. So, yeah, we were pretty disappointed that we weren't notified. The fire department mentioned that
They didn't recall.
they should have probably received a call.
Yeah.
There was,
Yes.
it was just shut off.
If they did, the firefighter I was speaking to didn't recall. So the whole thing is odd. And
It sounds like the liability would be on Centerpoint for that. You can shut gas off for an emergency situation, but there has to be a plan to turn it back on.
Yes.
That follow-up has to occur.
Yes, and if they reached out to anyone, and we haven't investigated that side of it yet, it certainly wasn't City Hall. I'm pretty sure if I got a call that, hey, we turned your gas off at Holbrook Park, that is a call I would
Right,
remember
right,
enthusiastically.
Because you think, did we pay the bill?
Right.
Maybe they called Dana.
Well, that was the thing. I'm literally thinking in my head, how many Danas do we have in town? I was literally plugging my memory brain going, okay, it could be this one or this one. So yeah, it was actually kind of funny, but yeah, random passerby, whether it was a resident or a park user.
Maybe we can get the phone number, because they would have recorded the phone number of Dana who called in.
Well, it's really not,
Yeah.
Not
What
Dana's.
it is a procedural issue
Not
at
Dana's
Centerpoint. No.
It's not Dana's fault,
not
but,
Dana's fault.
but Dana
Whoever
was
Dana-
not an authorized place for the city. I mean, they should have contacted the city.
Well, I think if you do it, then, yeah, you notify the fire department, you notify the city.
Yeah.
None of that happened. They just turned off
No.
the power and
Yeah.
destroyed property. That feels wrong on all levels.
Yeah,
Exactly. And
Right about that.
yeah.
I mean, many thanks to actually Donnie Chilstrom. Donnie Chilstrom, bless him, took it upon himself to ask his supervisor at Gopher Ace if he could go home and pick up, he had some propane heaters and other plug-in heaters, and he grabbed those and he brought them up to immediately start getting some heat in there, so that A, the cleaners who were working to get it ready for the next day would have a little bit of heat, and B, so we could start figuring out what had happened and how bad it was. So he brought that stuff up there and kept Sean company for a little bit, so Sean wasn't dealing with a mess entirely on his own. So major kudos, really, to Donnie Chilstrom for just being truly wonderful, and for Gopher Ace for allowing him to take a unscheduled break in his day to help us out. It was very kind and incredibly supportive.
So quick question, I know that you looked, the balance was zero and that was not unusual, but was there anything on that thing that would said your gas has been turned off?
No, and I was actually just gonna go, we have a bill, our Centerpoint bill is a combination of all of our properties. So it's not just, we don't get one for every, so it's a combination, and.
The
there was-
marginal difference would have been nothing.
Well,
Yeah.
correct, and we actually go line by line when we code them, but it wouldn't have been, I actually just looked when I did the last bill after she notified me, and there's actually still, I believe a minimum, there might even be a minimum charge on there, so there's nothing that would have alerted me to a
Well, you
discount.
wouldn't have heat in September, October, probably
Correct.
November anyway.
Right.
But unfortunately,
That's the
the
problem.
timing of this it just happened to be the week that it dropped so cold. And had it been just a couple days earlier, we would have caught it with getting the warming house ready, but.
But
I think
we-
if it had actually been a couple days later before we discovered it, the damage would have been even worse.
Extensive, yeah.
But I think it's not your responsibility as a consumer of a service to be a detective every single month. Right.
Right.
Well, what's frustrating me is when we're talking about communication, we still have access to Scott's phone, and we check it regularly. So if there was any messages left on there, we would have received it.
Yeah.
The only thing that's possible, if they would have emailed an email that's no longer valid. However, I can tell you if I ever miss a payment,
Bounce.
I'm notified really quickly if that would ever happen. So
During an email.
I'm just a little frustrated.
Yeah.
So is there a thermostat in there that would have turned it on automatically without us having to go in and turn it on?
So I know there is a thermostat in the building, and I know that, usually it's set at a, pretty low level, and then once we get into the colder
Keep it
months.
from freezing, yeah.
Bumps it up, exactly. So it's, the fact that it would be at a minimum charge is not unusual, because we really don't crank up the heat in there until this time of year, and even then, we're not heating it to 70 degrees. So, but we have heat in there now. The water is turned off because if you turn the water on, you will see dripping.
Yeah. But I mean, we have pipe damage, there's probably materials damage,
Yeah.
consumed how much public works time.
Not quite sure about the restrooms and the fixtures in there. More to explore.
Yeah, whoever the CenterPoint tech was, anytime they discontinue or activate a service, they have to pull a card and put it in, so they would have a full description of why they did what they did, and it should be easily
We
documented.
need more documentation and background, correct?
Of who they contacted, attempted to contact, when they contacted, all that. Because without an RP contacted, you just don't turn.
Right.
I was shocked.
I'm just saying.
I know, I
Doesn't
know.
make sense.
And it was turned off for quite some time.
Correct.
September, October, November, December.
Right.
Okay, well, I'm
might-
getting ready with the gavel.
All right, if there's no objection, I'll adjourn the meeting by general consent. All right, hearing none, meeting is adjourned. Happy holidays, everyone. We'll see you next year.